All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be talking about equivalent ratios. So I have a chart up here, and it has to do with bags of apples, okay? So for one, if I have one bag, I have how many apples?
4.
4. I have 4 apples, right? So we are going to fill in this chart. I want you to think to yourself, how many apples would I have if I had 2 bags? Tell me, how many apples would I have, you guys? 8. Yeah, I'd have 8 apples if I had 2 bags. Touch your nose if you know how many apples you'd have with 3 bags. Tell me right now. 12. Good. 12. Touch your nose if you know how many apples you'd have with 4 bags. Tell me.
16.
All right, finally, if I had 5 bags, how many apples would I have?
20.
20. Okay. So what we just did right here, like what Chase said, they are equal. They're equivalent. They are equivalent ratios. So 1 to 4, an equivalent ratio for 1 to 4 would be 2 to 8. We just created a whole line of equivalent ratios. That's what we're doing today. We're creating equivalent ratios. And so it kind of builds on what we did yesterday. So here's my original ratio. And I'm going to ask myself, how did I get to an 8 here? What did I do to this 1 and 4 to get to an 8? Am I going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Tell your partner what I did to get to an 8. Okay, I need all eyes up here in 3, 2, and 1. How did I get to this 2 and 8? Am I going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Tell me. I'm sorry, can everyone tell me?
Multiply.
Multiply, and show me on your fingers. What did I multiply my original ratio by? Show me on your fingers. What did I multiply it by? Tell me, what did I multiply it by?
2.
Yeah, so I multiplied it by 2. In my next column, what did I multiply it by?
3.
3. And then I multiplied it by?
4.
Then I multiplied it by?
5.
Good. So I'm just going to multiply my original ratio by 2. I'm going to multiply it by 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. And so on to get a whole list of equivalent ratios. Okay? Haley?
You can also add them if you add 1/4 plus 1/4.
If you add 1/4 and 1/4, then you're going to get 1/2. If you added 1/4 and 1/4. But, I mean, you would, if you added this number, 1 and 1, and then you added 4 and 4, then you would come to this number. I see what you're saying. Okay, so I have a few ratios. We're going to have 3 original ratios, and then we're going to put them in the boxes. Okay? So my first original ratio is 5 to 4. Go ahead and write it with me. Then we have 1 to 5. And then finally we have 2 to 6. Okay? And remember that we can write ratios 3 different ways. So I'm going to write my 3 ratios in my first box of each of these, okay? And when I write them, remember that the order does matter. So I'm going to have 5 over 4, 1 over 5, 1 over 5, and then 2 over 6. Okay? So, for your assignment today, I have a few friends that feel like whatever they're discussing is a little bit more important than that, so I'll wait. Okay. So for your assignment today, you are going to be given an original ratio, and then be asked to find 2 equivalent ratios. Okay? So the way that I'm going to find an equivalent ratio is I'm going to multiply my original ratio by 2 numbers. I'm going to pick easy numbers to work with. I'm going to pick, the first number that I pick is going to be 2. And so I'm going to say 2 times 5 is what, everyone?
10.
Good. And then 2 times 4 is what? 8. So there's one equivalent ratio. 5 over 4 is equivalent to 10 over 8. And then I need a second one. I want you to think of a number in your mind that's between 3 and 10. When you have a number in your mind that's between 3 and 10, raise your hands because you're going to help us pick our next number. A number between 3 and 10. Joseph. Let's use it. Go ahead and write this down in your math journal. So now I'm ready to create another equivalent ratio. 8 times 5 is what?
40.
40. Good. 8 times 4 is what?
32.
32. So I've just created 2 equivalent ratios. Okay? Now, if I wanted to come up with a really fancy ratio, I could multiply by like 218. I could multiply both of them by 218 and come up with an equivalent ratio. But for today's assignment, you need to keep the number between 2 and 9. Are you all done? You're amazing. Thank you, thank you. Perfect. Thank you, honey. Okay, so in our math journal, we're going to write ourselves a note, and we're going to say pick a number between 2 and 10. Okay? So now I have the opportunity to do it again with 1 and 5. So with your partner, I want you to pick 2 numbers that you would like to multiply them by, and it has to be between 2 and 10. And then go ahead and fill out this table of equivalent ratios with a partner. Go. Okay, I need all eyes up here in 3, 2, and 1. You can pick any numbers that you would like. If I were a 6th grader, if Mrs. Fox was a 6th grader, I would pick easy numbers to work with. I would pick numbers like 5 and 10 and 2. Okay, 5 times 1 is? 5 times 5 is? 10 times 1? 10 times 5? 50. That didn't take any time at all. So I know that an equivalent ratio for 1 to 5 is 5 to 25 and 10 to 50. Equivalent ratios. So like I said, I would pick easy numbers like 2, 5, 10. I need everybody to do the exact same numbers as me on this one. Okay? So first I'm going to multiply it by 2. 2 times 2 is what?
4.
And 2 times 6 is? 12. But did you know, if you guys look at this number right here, 2 6, if this was a fraction, is this in simplest form?
No.
No, I could actually divide both of them by 2 and come up with an equivalent ratio. 2 divided by 2 is?
1.
Good. And 6 divided by 2 is? 3. So sometimes you can even divide. Like every single time you can always multiply. But sometimes you can divide, and sometimes dividing is a better way to do it than to multiply. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is the first part of your assignment. It's creating equivalent ratios. Okay. The second part of your assignment is it's going to give you 2 ratios, and it's going to ask you, are these equivalent? Yes or no. So I have 2 equivalent ratios here. I have 1/2. And 5/10. Okay? And the way that I want you guys to solve this is you're going to create a box with 4 spaces in it. And you're going to just write in what you see. 1/2, 5/10. Okay? And then we also have 3/6 and 1/3. Okay? So I'm going to fill both of these in. 3 and 6, 1 and 3. Okay? And then you're going to ask yourself, how did I get from 1 to 5? And it's always going to involve multiplication and division. How did I get from 1 to 5? Did I add, or did I multiply or divide?
Multiply.
I multiplied by what?
5.
Good. So I go 1 times 5 equals 5. Now how did I get from 2 to 10? Multiplied by what?
5.
By 5. So do you see how both of these are the same? Like they're both multiplying by 5. So these are equivalent ratios. So yes, it's an equivalent ratio. Okay? Now let's look at the next one. How could I go from 3 to 1? Would I multiply something? No, I could divide though. What divided by 3 will give me 1?
3.
Good, 3. So 3 divided by 3 equals 1, right? How about from 6 to 3? What am I going to divide 6 by to give me 3?
2.
Good, 2. So 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Now, tell me, is divided by 3 and divided by 2 the same, yes or no?
No.
Nope. So are these equivalent ratios?
No.
Nope. So if you have an equivalent ratio, then you will see that like you're doing the same thing to them. You're either multiplying by the same number or dividing by the same number. If they are not equivalent ratios, you can't divide or multiply by the same number for this assignment. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Hey, when your math journal matches my math journal, put it in the corner of your desk. Pull out your whiteboard. Thank you, Addison.